camera. Give it off, down.
2005's Constantine was not a particularly well-received film, coming in with a rating of under 50% on the Rotten Tomatoes meter, although it did make a tidy profit in theaters, no doubt largely thanks to the presence of Keanu Reeves. You don't really get to make your $100 million budget R-rated films about suicide and Catholic guilt without a big name star in the lead, so without Keanu attached to the project, it likely never would have materialized. While it probably would have been better with an actor more capable of some kind of emotional range, the fact that it exists at all is still probably something to celebrate, as we're going to do here on the latest episode of Defending Your Movie. John Constantine has a problem. Lots of them, actually. He was born with the power to see demons, which has led him to a lonely life as a kind of freelance exorcist and evil hunter.
Real boss.
That's great, until he stumbles on a conspiracy by Satan's sons, Mammon, to create a hell on earth which he can rule. Oh, and he's got cancer. Oh, and he attempted to commit suicide one time, so he's going to hell.
When I die, the world say I've got just one place to go.
He's not precisely happy about any of this, and that's before it looks like he's being personally targeted by agents of the devil, as when a pretty damn impressive CGI bug demon attacks him outside of a gas station.
Business exorcist.
Entangled in all this is Detective Angela Dodson, mourning the apparent suicide of her sister Isabel, who is confined to a mental institute but somehow manages to find her way to the roof and jump off of it. That's mildly confusing to Angela, since the pair of them were both Catholics, and suicide is, of course, a mortal sin. Literally. As it turns out, Isabel was a powerful psychic who was going to be used by Mammon as a gateway to the earthly plane, and rather than succumb to that fate, she decided to make her own. So, okay, this is all pretty high concept for a comic book adaptation. I can't speak to the fidelity that the film has to the Vertigo comic which it's based on, having not read much of it, but director Francis Lawrence generally succeeds in creating one of those odd X-Files or Men in Blackish worlds, where all kinds of crazy shit continually seems to be happening just below the perception of ordinary human beings. And make no mistake, your ability to enjoy Constantine probably rests on the amount of credence you give to the goings-on, which may or may not be helped by a passing acquaintance with Catholic theology. Even if you go in cold though, for the most part the script does a pretty efficient job of explaining its concepts, and making them seem slightly less ridiculous than they would appear in the hands of any number of other directors.
You're the one soul he'd come up here himself to collect.
So I've heard.
It is pretty unfortunate that Keanu Reeves is as stiff as he is here, because again, a better actor in the lead role would have gone a long way towards making Constantine great instead of merely kind of good.
A demon just attacked me right out in the open on Figueroa.
He affects a kind of cut-rate Dirty Harry here that he can never quite pull off, but he at least manages to avoid being too ridiculous, and the presence of Rachel Weisz mostly balances him out.
So it's fun. It's fun when a man beats his wife to death. It's fun when a mother drowns her own baby. And you think the devil is responsible. People are evil, Mr. Constantine. People.
It is greatly unfortunate, however, that the film was burdened with the presence of Shia LaBeouf as Constantine's young sidekick.
I just don't think that it's a great idea, you know, you're going on a solo mission to save the world. That's my vote.
He is, of course, pretty damn awful and almost completely unnecessary from a plot point of view, but at the very least we get to see him beaten to death horribly.
Chaz Kramer.
Also disappointing is that this film launched the career of Lorenzo de Bonaventura, perhaps the shittiest producer working in Hollywood today, who went on to lend his quote-unquote talents to the Transformers films and G.I. Joe. On the upswing though, there are at least 3 legitimately delightful supporting performances on display in Constantine. Tilda Swinton has played with her androgynous features in films before, but perhaps never quite this literally, as she portrays the duplicitous half-angel Gabriel to a T.
Gabriel. Figures.
It's only in the face of horror that you truly find your noblest self. And you can be so noble.
She's especially great in the films as Newman, where it's revealed that she is the one who's been helping Mammon to come into the earthly plane. That leads to the last cameo of the film, with Peter Stormare as a giggly but sinister Lucifer who doesn't quite manage to land Constantine's soul as he has arrived to do.
You're the one soul
I would come up here to collect myself.
It's a performance that has landed Stormare on a few of those all-time best movie villain lists, and while I might not go that far, it's definitely one of the most memorable parts of the movie.
No accounting for taste, really.
Taking third place in this little battle is, shockingly enough, Gavin Rossdale, as a half-demon who's also helping Mammon with his little plan.
That expression alone has made my entire night.
I was as surprised as anyone to see the guy from Bush actually turning up in a movie, but he oozes his way into the devil-esque slimy banker role with aplomb, and actually delivers one of my favorite line readings in the entire film. Constantine is kind of ridiculous, sure, what with cruciform shotguns that shoot out dragon's breath and cross and blazing brass knuckles that get used to knock the shit out of half-demon manipulators. It's mostly a sincere kind of ridiculous, though, that rarely plays up its plot for laughs, and the supporting cast is good enough to patch over any weaknesses that Keanu and Shia introduce into the film. Is it the best movie about demons and those who fight them ever made? Nah, but it still deserves something a bit better than the critical reception it received. If you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. And if you have, let us know what you thought of it in the comments below. Thanks for stopping by.